Hello there survivors and welcome back to another build tutorial in ARK Survival Ascended. Today I'm going to show you how to build this little cliff platform starter base to get you going. It's a nice and cozy little house with plenty of space on the platform for some of your early game tames, everything that you need to get started, and just a nice little house to enjoy your life from. This build should definitely be possible on official. There's no real overlapping necessary, but there are some extra details that you can add if you do have overlapping available. I do use the Frontier skin from the Bob Tall Tales DLC, but you can also definitely do the build without it. And I also use the Klinger Rustic custom cosmetic skin for some parts, but again, you can definitely also leave that one out. That being said, if you like these build tutorials and you want to see more, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get into the building. Okay, obviously we're going to start by placing down a cliff platform. Now, personally, I designed this for a medium platform. Of course, you could also go bigger if you want more space on the platform itself. That's up to you, but yeah, definitely go at least medium. And then the placement, of course, there is so many spots where you can build with a cliff platform, especially on Aberration, but also on other maps, of course. You probably want to think about how you can get on the platform. So maybe next to another natural platform, so you can just get on there quite easily, or with a little elevator, zip lines, whatever floats your boat. But you're gonna need a platform, and make sure that you try to get a spot where you still have a decent size of the platform outside of whatever cliff you're building against, because that's just gonna give us some more space to work with, of course. And then to get started with the build, we kind of want to line up with the middle of this. So it kind of depends which way you want the house to be facing. I want the house to be facing this way, the middle of the platform. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find the middle of this part, this little point basically. So using the guidelines, and then I'm going to make the pillar as high as possible, trying to line it up with the structure. It doesn't have to be perfect, of course, but it's just a little easier this way. And then what we want to do is we want to have beams going off to two sides. Then we can actually place down the pillars, and we can remove these other ones so that we kind of know that we've spread out these pillars quite nicely and equal distance. Then we want to add one more pillar on top of that to start off the structure. And then this is where we want to take out our ceilings, wooden ceilings, and just make a building going on like this. We can of course only go on by 3 for now. That's where we want to take out our pillars again after 2 of them, add them in so that we have more support, and we can make the house a little bit longer. Now, you would at least want it to be this big, I would say. If you want to, and if you still have room, of course, we can continue keeping the house going until we basically clip it into the side of the cliff. But that might depend on the rules of the server or game that you're playing. So if you can't do this, if you can't clip into the wall, just end it after the last pillar that you were able to place and leave out the back part of the build. But of course, it's nice to have a little bit of extra space if the game decides to give it to you. Okay, so that's the basic foundational shape of the house that we're gonna build. Here on this side, on the right side of the building, after the first 2, we're gonna add 4 more ceilings right here to the side to build a little extra addition to the house. And here on the other side, we're gonna have 1 row that will basically continue as far as your house goes. Then we'll grab the pillars again, and we'll want to add them here on this side to get some supports. We'll take out our wooden beams and we'll add them around this platform. We'll have 1 going on here and then back as far as your house goes. Leave this one open. Then we'll have beams here. We'll leave this one open as well. And then we'll have some beams going on right here. And like this, going as far back as you can once again. It's basically shaping out what our rooms are going to be. Then we can take out our wooden stairs, and we can have 2 of them going down like so. So basically making our way up to our little house that we're going to be building. We'll take out our thin pillars and we'll add some thin pillars here on the side of all of these ceilings as far as they go. And then here on the side of this platform, we also want to add in some of these pillars on the two sides. Then we want to take out our quarter walls, and for now we want to add them to every end of each section of the cliff platform, because we're going to use that as a snap point. Then we can take out our thin pillars, snap it to the little quarter wall that we've just placed, go all the way around and place them on each of these corners basically, and then we can take away these quarter walls because we no longer need them, and we'll have a tiny little pillar sticking out of the platform. Just looks a little bit nicer in my opinion. Then we can take out our wooden railings and add them in as well along the edges. Of course, if there's somewhere that you want to add a cliff platform, you probably want to keep one side open to connect it up, or if you want to make a zip line somewhere, you also want to leave an opening, of course, so you can easily get on and off the platform. So yeah, basically we just go all the way around as far as we go until the cliff side. Then here we also want to add in our little railings alongside the walkway that we've just created. There we go. And of course, we'll also do it next to the staircase up and alongside this little addition that we have to our build on the side here. Then we'll grab our ceiling here because we kind of want to make a little porch. So we'll have two normal ceilings, then our triangle ceilings to get a little bit more shape to it. We can once again take out our wooden railings and go along the side of this little porch just to kind of add some security to it. And then down below, what we want to do is want to take out our quarter walls, and then we're just going to place down a little edge around the bottom of the pillars as far as it lets us place them. Then we'll switch over to the wooden railings on top. And then again, we'll just continue placing them on top of this wall as far as we can, kind of to make a little divider, because basically this area underneath is where I would park the dinos, the tames up here, to keep them safe as well. Okay, then over here, we actually want to add in another little ceiling like this. You can then have some quarter walls underneath to kind of make it into a little foundation almost. There we go. Then you want to take out your pillars. Make sure to snap it like this. So up from the bottom of the platform from these quarter walls, basically, so that they line up with the structure that we've already built. And then here we want to make a nice wall. On this side, we'll make a nice wall. We can pick up the railing and make a nice wall here on this side as well. And add a door here on the front. Then we can have quarter walls on top of these to fill in that last remaining bit on the top, because this is going to be a very important room where you'll want your privacy. And then we'll have a little ramp in front of it. And then we can add in our doorway. There we go. So that we have a nice little toilet building to do your important business, you know, and make some fertilizers so you can grow some crops. Okay, then you want to grab your wooden scaffolding or your wooden sloped walls if you do not have the DLC. And then we want to start adding the supports underneath. So basically from the pillars, we're going to add some of these supports around just to make it all look a little bit more structural than it was before. So yeah, we're just going to go around adding these in, making this whole thing look a little bit more supported. There we go. Add them in as well underneath the balcony, of course, to make it look nice. And also for this walkway, we want to add them in. Of course, here we don't, because we already have the building there. Here we will. And there we go. We'll check the other side, the side building. We also want to make sure that we have some nice supports there. And there we go. So basically going all the way around. And again, if you do not have the scaffolding, you can just use the sloped walls instead. Then we want to take out our wooden ramps and we want to snap them like this. going as far back as we can into the cliff. And then, of course, this one we just want to follow all the way and have one extra here at the end. And then we'll continue with our ramps here on this side. We also want to find this snap point and add a little roof over this area here on the side. And we can actually add a little beam on top as well. Okay, and then it's time to start on the house itself. We're going to add a door right here. I personally prefer to flip the textures around and have this nice texture here on the outside. We'll add another door right there. We'll have a double door right here. And then over here on this side, we're going to be making a custom little window. So at first, we're going to start with a row of these quarter walls. Then we want to change them to the alternative version, so they'll line up with the other walls. Then once again, we'll have a normal version on top of that before going back to the alternative version for the top layer here. Then we want to change to our railings, and we want to snap one on top like this, flip them around like that, and then once again flip them once more to create this little custom window design. We'll take out some pillars and add them here on the side to fill in those little gaps that we'll otherwise have. And that's just a nice way to add little custom window to your build. For the other walls, we're going to be fairly simple. We're just going to be adding in normal walls all the way as far back as we can. Of course, if you want to, you could add a window here and there if you want to have some extra views. Also kind of depends on how far your building goes back into the cliff, I would say. But probably around there is where I would add in some windows. And then we can make them too high all the way through up into the cliff. If you can't clip into the cliff, of course, you would just end it wherever the platform ends for you. And you'll just make a little back that is quite similar to the one that we're going to be building here on the front. And here on the front, it's actually going to be quite simple. For now, we're going to place one wall there so that we can make this shape up top. We'll add one wall like that, one wall like that, slope walls. And then we'll do the same pattern there to create a little bit more interest for this building. And of course, we want to make sure that we start adding in some of these doors as well. So a door right there, a door right here, and of course, a door here on this side as well. And in case you have windows back here, you probably also want to be adding some windows in those, just to complete the whole look. Here on the inside, we actually want to place an extra wall right over here. And then we'll have a beam on top and a pillar here. This is to kind of make a divider so you can make a bedroom in here. Of course, if you want to do another different interior, you can totally do so. And then we need to add a little quarter ceiling in the corner here, just so we get some different snap points. And before we start on the roof, we'll add a beam here on top. This one should definitely be possible. I don't know about these one because technically they are kind of overlapping with the walls. But if you can, place a nice beam there. If you cannot, just leave it out. And then here on the corners, we kind of want to extend these pillars that we also have down below. And the same over here. So after 2, we want to extend the pillars up and basically onward so that we kind of repeat the pattern that we have down everywhere to add some more supports and a little bit more texture into the build. Then we'll take out our wooden roof pieces and we just start adding in a nice roof all the way along to the back. Of course, the length of your build is going to highly depend on the area where you build it. This one that I'm building right now is a little bit longer than the first one that I built and designed up there. To add a little bit more detail here to the sides, what I like to do is have these fences, railings, stick out from the side so that it kind of looks like you've got an overlap going on. And this doesn't require any overlapping of structures in each other, which is also a possibility. Makes it a little bit more complicated, but of course, for official, this would be the way to go. And there we go. That is kind of what you want to do. We want to take out our wooden beams again and kind of just add one along the top of the building too. There we go. Already starting to look quite nice and cozy, but we can definitely improve a little bit more. If you do have the Frontier skin from the Bob Talltales DLC, I really like to use those as my ceilings. I just like the wood type a little bit more for that. So I'm going to replace my entire ceiling with some nice Frontier textures because, again, I just prefer the look of these. So we're going to go all the way along. Only for the ceilings though. The rest we're just going to keep the way it is. But what you might want to do is switch to the glass variant of the Frontier skin and change this into a nice window so that you have a round window going in, bringing in some extra light to your build. And in case you did add some extra windows, I also prefer having proper windows inside of those. So you might want to change those skins too. And personally, I would definitely want a cozy little fireplace to add to this build. So I would add one right here to just have a little chimney sticking out from the top. It barely sticks out, but it's enough, especially once it's turned on, because then you'll have some nice little smoke bellowing from your house. And yeah, that kind of is the way you get this build done. It's a nice and cozy little starter base to really easily and quickly build for yourself. However, there is a custom cosmetic, the Klinger Rustic Custom Cosmetics, which is really nice. And it has this little ornament piece, which basically turns these slope walls or scaffolding into nice curves. And I personally think that can really transform the build to an even better level. Because, again, there's not a lot of curves in ARK. So when you can add them, it just looks so much better, in my opinion. It just really adds some dynamic shapes to the build that you can't really do in any other way in ARK. So yeah, if you want to, you can download this and it just really transforms the build to a different level. And I think they do blend in quite nicely, especially with the Frontier skins. But yeah, they just add that extra little bit of shape to the build that you can't otherwise get. Okay, if you do have overlapping available, what you might want to try for this custom window is add some of these quarter ceilings right above it. Then we'll take out our ramp and snap it on top like this, because that just looks a little bit nicer, doesn't it? Also, another little tip, we've now used the ramps normally, but I also really prefer the look of them flipped around, so you can decide for yourself which one you like better. And as I said, that's basically it. It's a quite simple little starter house that you can build pretty much everywhere, as long as you've got a cliffside to place a platform against. And that's nice and easy. And of course, this one turned out a little bit longer because the cliff kind of goes back. If the cliff is a little bit more straight like this, of course, your house wouldn't be as deep and you would have a little smaller version. Let's take a little tour of the build that I originally did to see what it could be like with decorations. Alright, so there we go. This is my little cliff platform base. As you can see, it's a little bit smaller because the cliff comes in a little bit more. You can have an elevator up to it. You can have a zip line up to it. Whatever floats your boat, whatever you prefer. Then this is my little stables area. I've indicated that by adding all these hay bales. This is from the Western Deco mod, which is a proper mod, but I think there's also a custom cosmetic version of this available. We have a little water tank here with some plant crop plots so that you can grow some plants early on. We've got the feeding trough, we've got the compost bin, and the most important room of them all right back here so that you can make some fertilizer right here. We've got some extra storage down here just to utilize the whole place, the whole platform. That is, of course, the advantage of building on a platform. And then we can go up here. You can see we've got some more storage. We've got a little forge going on. You can see it's much smaller than the build we did in the tutorial. This is all down to the cliff, of course, and kind of where you place the first pillars. And then once we go inside, we've got a cozy little home, little rug, little fireplace that we also built in the tutorial, little bench in front, table with the mortar and pestles, the preserving bin, storage over here, the little bedroom down here, and then of course a little porch to enjoy a glorious view from our cliff platform base. And again, a little bit more storage and the nice window to let in some extra light. And then here we got the little workshop area. We got some extra crafting. You probably just want to use a bigger cabinet, but this looks a little bit nicer, doesn't it? And then the smithy and the forge as well, so that you have plenty of places to kind of smelt it up. Little hanging sign for some extra details. But it's, yeah, nice and cozy. It's a really fun little starter base that isn't too expensive. Should be relatively easy to get going. The biggest thing, of course, would be your cliff platform, but especially on Aberration, but even on other maps with nice cliffs, this would be a really nice place to get started. There we go. That is my little cliff platform starter base to get you going on a nice platform against any cliff of your choosing. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and so you don't miss out on any future build tutorials. And then hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.